So when most people talk about survival knives or bushcraft, they usually do this. And this is supposed to show you what a great knife it is. But does it really? This is a Faberware, really terrible piece of shit kitchen knife. It is not even good as a kitchen knife. But it does that. It splits wood. So, why do people end up doing this? It's because people got short attention spans, and this is easy. I won this knife in a winter camping contest in 2016, almost exactly 10 years ago. This is a good knife. It holds its edge well, it does all the tasks you need. This lost some of the edge just doing that one piece. It's a piece of shit. This works better in the kitchen even. But the contest I did was a lot of work. So much work. I did all kinds of bushcrafting and stuff. I'll talk about that later. Built a huge shelter. But now, I mean, I had to take pain pills just to come out here to go for a hike through the woods. And I can't be bothered doing all that. But I can come here, go like this, and make a video of knife goes bash. Content. And that's why you see that kind of shit. So to continue, when I won this knife in the winter camp challenge, I bushcrafted a number of things. One of them was this bowl. It has now been sealed with beeswax. I did that when I got home with it. I had used this knife though, which has since been reprofiled after getting chipped along the edge, so it was wider then. I used this knife, coals in here to burn it out, and then scraping it out with the round part, and then grinding it with a rock. I used this to eat my oatmeal in the morning. I also made a fork and a spatula and a spoon, all of which were used for eating and cooking. But that would have been a very long process if I had video of it. Back then I did photos, but if I had that on video, I would have to heavily edit it and speed it up, or people would just tune right out, wouldn't give a crap. Now people will quite rightly mention that, and have in my other videos, that a saw works better for cutting than a knife if you're trying to cut wood, and they are completely correct. Went out there to the woods for a camping trip with some friends, and I stupidly forgot my saw. And it wasn't this folding saw, it was a different pull saw, but I forgot it. They didn't have a saw. I had to cut everything with this knife. The saw on the back of this is for making notches, for attaching things, for lashing points. It does not saw through wood. So I had to chop everything with this. My shoulder and my elbow felt like crap for about a week afterward. Worked, but giant pain in the ass. That saw would have been way better. This knife is one that I made, 1/4 inch thick 01 steel, differentially heat treated. It was very handy for a specific time when me and my brother headed out during a flood level rain event. We deliberately went to see how difficult it would be to make and maintain fire in flood conditions. So it was raining extremely hard when we got out there. With this, I was able to chop and shape poles that we drove into the ground, made a shelter for the roof. We had two dollar store tarps, 6 by 8 inch tarps, lashed everything to the framework, creating a dry spot underneath that then we were able to gather wood, split it, and then when there was a slight lull in the rain, went out, set it up, got the fire going, put wood on top of that to make like a roof so that it would catch and keep going. And we actually did end up cooking food during a flood level rain event. It was kind of impressive, and the whole surrounding area is flooded quite bigly, as a certain president would say. Now, when it comes to bushcraft knives, in a way, they're kind of selling you it's marketing. This is the Benchmade Bushcrafter, which it's comfortable in the hand once you round the edges a little bit. It was a little bit blocky back here at first, but it works. This is a custom one, a JDOT 154 cm steel, about 220 thou thick. What they're marketing to you is confidence. I mean, really, you could, for all intents and purposes, use this knife, another custom one that I got in a giveaway. It's a 15N20 steel, very extremely thin, very fine point, very sharp, and the handle's extremely ergonomic. With this, you get great force of cutting. Like when you can just push cut through things so well. If I had this in a survival situation, I would not feel underknifed, and I can just put it in this Kydex sheath, which I actually made the sheath. I can stick it in my pocket and forget about it. I'm more likely to have this with me than most of the other knives out here, unless I'm specifically going out for something, because this is unobtrusive. But with these knives, they're selling you confidence, because you know this won't break, which led my dad to taking this out to the woods when, I forget the exact specifics, but it was a situation where he figured he could end up stranded, and he wanted something that he knew he could rely on. And with this knife, it instills confidence, and it's very ergonomic in the hand too. Now, what a knife like this or the SC5 does, the tip is insanely strong, insanely thick, stout, tough. So not only could you split wood with the regular batoning method people think of, but you can take a knife like this and drive it into wood and split it. And you'll see the sear instructors doing that with something like the SE5. You can see videos of that. But I mean, what is a survival knife, really? Like I already mentioned, this one here, I'd be more likely to have with me. It isn't a survival knife. Really, the one you're going to have with you, I mean, this is a folder, Benchmade Skirmish. I actually won a shelter making contest with this. It worked quite well. If you hold it back a bit, you got enough reach, as you can see compared to something like this, that you actually can clear some things out of the way, and it's stout enough that you can cross crane baton a few branches if you have to in order to create a shelter. But for the most part, batoning is not necessary for the most part. It's a very rare situation that's really actually required. It's usually something that people do because they saw it on YouTube. Speaking of which, this is the awesome Faberware kitchen knife from the earlier batoning video portion. And you can see it has this great warp in the edge. I'm going to keep this it's just wonderful. Now the overall knife is still almost entirely as straight as it was before, but that warp there is just a great ripple in it. But it shows also you don't need an awesome knife for batoning. This steel is not really hardened at all. You can sharpen it with a file. It's crap. But because it's crap, basically unhardened or very lowly hardened steel, it is tough. On a harder blade, this would have just chipped right out. Instead, I could take a hammer and pound that back into place. Not going to bother, but I could. If they put a flat grind on this portion instead of the hollow grind they did, it probably wouldn't have even warped at all. This piece of shit knife would have worked for batoning as good as some of these others. This got warped going through a knot. That's insane. And being able to baton or being designed to baton doesn't what makes a good knife, or even a good survival knife. This is the Grohmann Knives number 4 survival knife with the Kydex sheath I made for it because I prefer it to the leather one that came with it. it's a really good knife. I got this one in trade with a friend, but I have another one I bought. You can tell by the narrowness here that even though it's like 200 thou thick, it's not really intended for repeated big shocks. I mean, if in an emergency you could split very small wood, especially if you're just like hitting it by hand just to get to the dry stuff to get kindling. You will see videos on YouTube of people bashing this through wood though, and it does survive it, but the reason they're doing it is because that's what we've been taught by all these videos, is the measure of a survival knife, bashing it through wood. I called Groman Knives in Pictou, Nova Scotia, the people that made this knife, explained the concept to them and everything, and they're like, yeah, don't do that. It's a survival knife, but it's made more the idea of hunting, skinning large animals, and yes, you could use it for fire prep. I mean, other videos where people aren't being dumb have shown how the shape of this curve is amazing for making feather sticks. So you could, if you had to get a fire going, if you got your tent or tarp structure up, by hand, just expose some dry wood and then feather stick and then get your fire going. Or just make smaller pieces and you don't really need feather sticks. That's another kind of overrated survival thing. But yeah, that's just a few thoughts on it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will have tuned out by now because, as I mentioned in the opening segment, another reason people do batoning videos is people have short attention spans. But if you have reached this point in the video, you will have got some of my thoughts on the topic. Well, enjoy yourself and get yourself out of the woods. Maybe, I don't know, make a bowl or something. Just don't make a video of it because no one gives a shit.